What's going on, everyone? So this is a follow-up to the Dirt Cuz video that I put out probably yesterday at this point in time. But Dirt Cuz challenged me to look at his video, and he seems pretty upset with my first breakdown. Ever since the video went up, he was trying to get me into a live pretty much all day that day. But I work, and I couldn't make it. So he's challenging my take on his 80-mile observation, saying I got it wrong. What's weird is he worked an extremely high-skilled job, so he's not dumb by any means, but I think the desire for Earth to be flat is clouding his logic and judgment. That's why I'm putting together this next video to kind of hopefully make things a little clearer. Now, I do want to make a correction. In my first video, I said he didn't give the coordinates, but he actually did. He flashed them on screen while that spa flute music was playing for 4 seconds out of its 9-minute video. So I happened to miss the 4 seconds it was on screen because it wasn't called out directly. I do want to include that Aloha, I think, is upset because I showed his one observation matches the globe. He made it a point to say that he was there with Dirt Cuz for this globe Earth observation. So I'm making this video not just for Dirt Cuz, but for everybody else too, to give a little more clarity on the breakdown and really compare what we're seeing in his video. My first video could have been made better and a little more coherent. I just sometimes ramble like a madman and got into too much detail over some small things. So this time I'm keeping it focused and straight to the point without all the extra info after this intro. But we're going to address his big concerns one by one. So Dirt says the right side of Lanai is 84 miles away and fully visible. But that's flatter thinking, assuming that the farthest possible point is what you're seeing. Why didn't he just measure to the far island? So this is his video where he drew that line, and 84 miles was what he got. So this is the screen grab from his video, and this is the right side of Lanai. We'll zoom in, and if we look at this edge, it looks like a pretty steep drop off. While we're here, this is what I was talking about, where he was measuring to like the farthest outside edge from his point of view. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at Lanai here. So it looks like Lanai has a really mellow slope all the way to the water. And we don't really see that in his video. So looking at this, I honestly think we're seeing maybe right here, maybe up here. So let's get into PeakFinder and see what it says. So somebody asked in the comments, Fuzzy, this is the closest I can zoom in on PeakFinder. It kind of sucks because I want to be more finite. But let's see what this says. So again, I do want to point out, it's weird that it goes from 18 miles to infinite there, but like 15, 16, 17 to 78. That is the weirdest thing that it does that, because shouldn't it go 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then start at this point of the line, which I have this backwards, so it'd have to be 4 miles, 75, 76 miles away. But let's go grab this edge. So we're seeing 80 miles, 2,115 feet missing. What's fun is we get the little GPS coordinates of that. So we are going to plug that in. Okay, interesting. So what we're being told we're seeing as the soonest point, oops, I'll lose the pen, is that. So let's draw this line. So I just drew that line so we could see the difference first off, but also get the distance and the position. I wonder, I bet you that's what we're seeing in his video, is this drop right here on the edge there, right at the water. So, and Dirt got mad that I used the peak at 80 miles. The point we are seeing is 80.5 miles. He kept calling me a liar because I used 80. So I guess, Dirt, 84 miles, is that you lying? But let's carry on. One other thing I want to check with this is let's grab a random point on the map between those two spots, and we are going to open that in PeakFinder, and we'll get closer. Okay, so oh, that's weird that when we're closer we can see the other island, whatever it is, Mauna Loa. So I legit think this is what we're seeing on the edge of his video, but let's compare that to the advanced Earth curve calculator. So 2121 feet at 80.5 miles. So it looks like it's just barely peaking up, like we see in the video. So one quick thing I thought of, we have Lanai, we have this hill that we thought we were seeing past, and then the slope. But if we go here, we can get the coordinates of this little hill, plug it into Google Earth, and it lands right next to the line we drew. So it seems like there's that little nub that has a quick drop off. It seems like this is pretty accurate to what we're saying. I would say with 95% certainty that this is what we're seeing as the edge of Lanai in his video. So now we'll address his next point where these two islands overlap. So Dirt's next thing is that these two islands cross like this at the waterline, and it proves there's no curve. So let's map it out. I'm going to get the coordinates of the edge of this and then where these two meet and draw lines on Google Earth. While I'm doing this, I do find this to be funny. So 78 miles, 2,000 feet missing. 54 miles, 700 feet missing. On a flat Earth, those should be missing close to the same. He is sitting below it, but it should be substantially closer to the same if we just use math and right triangles. But we'll carry on. Okay, so I grabbed the point where this hits the water as close as I could, and then the point of the closest and the farthest island, mapped them on Google Earth, and this is kind of the line of sight we're seeing. Let's go. So this is really all we're seeing for the islands overlapping on his video. Here, and it touches the water, and then there. So let's use the advanced Earth curve calculator and see if here and here pretty much line up the same. Okay, so we grabbed the data, we plugged both of these objects into Walter Bislin's. It's crazy how low the eye line is to this observation. It's going off of the farthest distance. But we zoom in, this is what we ended up getting for where these two cross. Granted, it's not the most accurate because I'm miles out trying to do this, but it looks like it pretty much lines up with what we are seeing and what the globe Earth tells us. So Dirt is looking through a telescope, so it's really hard to we can't get that. But and then when we zoom in, we're like changing that compression, so we can't get these lines to line up. But we can kind of get an idea. Let's see, I can't go any lower apparently. There we go. We can kind of get an idea. The only thing we're seeing cross in his video is this space of this island and that little tiny space of that island. And I'll try to line them up on the video so you can get an idea. So I just grabbed this from Google Earth. Those red lines are our field of view. Look at how much the line of Lanai lines up perfectly from Google Earth to his video of Lanai sticking out behind the other island. That's spot on. So Dirt, letting Flat Earth cloud his judgment, says nothing is missing from the bottom of those. And he commented that I landed in the loser board. I must study PeakFinder. Here's the thing. I'm using PeakFinder and it looks like I know what I'm doing with it. We are seeing exactly on PeakFinder what we see in your video. Lanai's silhouette continues almost 2,000 feet below where we see in your footage. The sharp drop off happens. It's not this slow, gradual slope that you who have boated around the island a million times should know that it's a very slow slope for miles and miles on that eastern edge. We don't see that in your video because it's hidden below the horizon. So same with Maui like we did in the last video. The ridges line up perfectly with Google Earth. It matches. Looks like we're missing a few hundred feet of the island. Now one thing, here you go. So Dirt was mad that I didn't have all his lines as well. I didn't have his Google Earth login to have all his lines, so I had to draw my own. But one thing that's interesting is we're missing all of this, right? And now Dirt does say volcano ash or something. And that's his excuse of why he somehow managed to think he could see here, but not the extra 15 miles to here. That's weird. But we're not seeing any of this. We do know that the largest peak is hidden behind this much lower edge of Maui. But there are two things here. We aren't seeing any of this in his footage, and he blames it on volcanoes erupting. But we also aren't seeing It's underwater on here. We had to switch over to Google Maps, but we aren't seeing Molokini Crater. This is interesting because this is 53 miles away, but somehow we're seeing 80. This is only 53 miles away, and it's 160 feet elevation above the water. So as he pans and we see this drop off happen, and then we see this appear in the view, we don't see this island sticking up at all, 160 feet above the water. We see the water horizon. So as for the loser board, oh God, somebody on the internet called me a loser. Oh shoot, I'm gonna go cry in a corner. He's a nobody on the internet, and everybody, take that as advice. People who are nobodies online, don't let them affect you, because they're nobodies on the internet. He suggested the volcanic haze, VOG, might explain why we're not seeing these islands, but we do see clouds. We see this 80.5 miles away. I used 80 miles last time, and I'm a liar, but he used 84 miles. He's not a liar. Weird. But according to him, 84 miles, 92 miles, we should have been able to see this, but we didn't. Because of volcanic haze? That sounds like an excuse. And also the little island here that you don't see on Google Earth. But if Earth was flat, we'd be able to see this. We'd be able to see this. We'd be able to see all that. We'd be able to see all this. Over here, there's 300 or 400 feet missing. So yeah, when we check out the geography, the distances, the profiles, the observation matches the globe pretty much spot on. What we see of Lanai's right side isn't 84 miles away. It's a closer ridge, up substantially higher in elevation. The crisscrossing of these two islands in his view matches the globe. We can model it, we can see it. And the bottom of islands are missing. This is completely gone. This is completely gone. Dirt uses the excuse of VOG. That doesn't explain completely missing islands. So thanks for the challenge again, Dirt. I learned a lot more about these islands, actually. Like how this island here, absolutely nobody seems to want to live on it. It seems harsh. So, test the claim. Don't take what people say on the internet as the final word. Thank you again, DirtCuz, for proving the globe Earth. I don't think you're a dumb person simply because of your work history, but you're slightly proving that wrong here. But yeah, quit letting the desire for flat Earth ruin your judgment. You want Earth to be flat so badly that you put out globe Earth proof and claim it's flat.